Is it, how do you do the volume on here? What's up, guys? What's going on? I'm going to wait for some people to hop in, and then we will rock and roll. If you can hear me okay, we got some people in the background, so let me know if you can't. And we'll give it a minute for people to come in, and then we'll rock and roll, hit some balls again like last time. Make sure we can see myself okay. What's up, guys? I think it tilted a little. Hey. Moving camera. Cool. That should be good right there. Yep. That should be good. Partying back there. That feels good. What's going on, gentlemen?
Golf teacher on the
nice. Net. Hey, if you guys want to, whenever, start firing away some questions. We're a minute in. We're going to do basically just like a free-for-all deal here. If you see my nice little hole 19 hat on that Anthony gave me, so thank you for that. So fire away questions. Mary's back here with me. She's going to read them away, and then we'll start talking. There are a lot of people here doing simulators, so if the volume's off, you guys have a hard time hearing, tell me and I'll talk louder. So fire away, man. Let's talk. Haha, hee hee. So I'm working on some swing adjustments, backswing a little bit deeper going back, and then working my pelvis a little different during the downswing is what I'm trying to work on here. Squeezing the elbows together, big body turn, left hip down and around, and then a little extension at the end. Let's see how that looks. JT would be happy. Yes. John Watson in Colorado. How can you get a lesson with me? We will put the link in the description to my scheduling app. If you want to do an in-person lesson, you got to fly in or fly me out for the day, one or the other. And then, so you can do in-person lesson. We'll put a link in for that. And then that same link, you can do online lessons if you want. You can join CogornoGolf.com if you want to and post your swings on there. So yeah, in-person online, we'll put the link in the description down below. I think if you just Google like Eric Cogorno, you'll see Acuity Scheduling and my name that you could do it on there.
So Jill wants to know how to stop sliding forward on downswing.
Jill, how to stop sliding forward on downswing. Sliding forward, we measure the left hip or lead hip or the belt buckle, moving too far towards the target. Now, keep in mind when measured, good players do have some amount of movement towards the target. On average, let's say about 3 or 4 inches, or what I'll say is about a fist length. So my hip can travel about 1 fist towards the target. So it can travel about that far. Okay, if I put that outside my left hip, it can travel about that far in my belt buckle. If you go too far this way, a couple of things I would look for. Number one, your left hip or lead hip here, instead of it going probably up and forward this way, you want to feel like it goes down and around. You want to feel like it goes down and around. So it looks more like this. So from face on, your left hip is going to go as far down and as far around as you can make it. So your knee goes out, but your hip stays in. You see that? This would be forward and up. This would be your left hip down and around would be where I would start with that. And then I'd have to see your swing, see why you do it. Maybe you push off with the trail foot too early and watch some of the other rotation videos. And maybe, just maybe, if you're lucky, we're going to have a rotation product coming out in like a month. And that might help too.
So kind of the same theme, Josh.
Yeah. Mr. Josh, thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
He said he's really getting his backswing sorted out, but still sliding upper body forward rather than rotating. So got a favorite drills.
Favorite drills for Josh of sliding the upper body forward during the downswing. My favorite drill would be taking an object and putting it in front of your head. So for me, it'd be in line with my left shoulder. I'd give myself about another fist or so there. So this would be about here. And during my downswing, I want my face or head to not hit that object. I don't know if you guys can hear me okay. It's loud here. So I would put an object over my left shoulder like this, like a stick through a bag or something like that, and have your upper body not hit it. As you start to turn around, make sure you still turn and your right shoulder and right hip turn all the way through when you do that. A lot of people, when they try and not hit the object, kind of hang back to the right. So turn on the way through with that.
JH, do you feel like your swing is more controlled by left arm or right. I seem to make more pure contact when I go right arm down. Is he right-handed or left-handed?
Yeah. So Jay asked, should you feel more, or do I feel more left arm or hand and right arm or hand? And unfortunately, with these feel questions, there is no perfect answer to that. What I always say with feels is you're allowed to feel whatever you want, so long as you make the desired motion. So I know something like that's a shitty answer, but it is what it is. If you feel left arm and that does whatever you're trying to do, that's great. If you feel right arm, that's great. I really have to see your swing probably to be able to say for you specifically.
So this is just praise. I am that I am. So just say praise.
Praise.
To know, how do we simplify a wide downswing?
How do we simplify a wide downswing? You guys ever get to the point where you're hitting balls, you're working on a swing thing, and it feels so good that you can't help but hit balls? That's where I'm at right now. How do we simplify a wide downswing? So really width during the downswing has to do with two main components that I would look at. Number one is body, and number two is arms and hands. If you're too narrow or not wide enough during the downswing, that would mean your arms are what? Too bent, right? So as your arms get too bent, that would be the main thing that would make you too narrow, be your arms bent. How do you lengthen your arms? I would focus primarily on the trail arm, the right arm, and have that feel like the right arm or trail arm is longer. So at the top, if this is 90 degrees, at the top, your trail arm's about 90 degrees. As you come down, if you normally bend that and get too narrow, you want to feel like you maintain 90 or even lengthen 90, not this, but lengthen the right arm a little bit to the point where it's about 120 as you go down into the impact phase. If you're narrow because of too much hinge, which could be another thing here like this, then you need to feel like you have less hinge, right? And you have to make sure you have enough body turn to support it. So you have to know, are you narrow because of your arms, because of your hinge, and then do the opposite of whatever you're currently doing wherever you start doing it. It's another one of those where like, we're going to figure out some of these as we go, guys, and we're talking through to try and do it where we can do these and I can see your swings more, right? So you asked me that question, I could say, hey, man, based on your swing, you should do this and this. And that's part of what we have Cogorno Golf for, but we also want to do that with this here. So we're going to hopefully figure that out as we go.
So Kim wants to know, how do you retain the angle of the left arm and club jack? When do you release that angle?
How do you retain the angle, Kim, of the left arm and club shaft, and when do you release it? Well, let's say this angle here, this angle, I'll go this way, this angle, let's say that's 90 degrees, roughly. So at address, it's less than 90, right? That's a longer angle. By the time I get to about first parallel, it's hinging some. By the time I get to left arm parallel to the ground, it should be 90 degrees. It should still be 90 at the top. It should still be 90 in transition. It should still be about 90 down to club parallel to the ground. From club parallel to the ground, right about here to impact is where this angle starts to slowly release. So from this side, if it's still 90 here, that starts to slowly release a little bit as you come down. If you're releasing too much, it depends on why. You have to know why that's happening. You have to look at why that's happening. Are you releasing that too much to square a club face? Is your face open? Are you releasing that too much because you're too steep and you're trying to shallow your angle of attack? So we'd have to see why you're releasing it. Martin Chuck just came out with a little impact strap, I think it's called, which I have, but I don't have right in front of me. But that's something that I would use, maybe a little training aid with that, but it depends on why you're doing that.
The link to that strap is actually featured in our video post tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, the YouTube video that's going up tomorrow will have that impact strap post on there.
Adam has a really good question. How to deal with winter distance loss.
Adam, how to deal with winter distance loss. So like when you're hitting it shorter because it's cold out? Is that your interpretation of that?
I'm wondering if because he's not playing over the winter.
Yeah, Adam, ask that, clarify that. Do you mean the ball's going shorter because it's cold out, or like because you're not playing, you're losing distance, or what do you mean by that? And then I'll give you an answer.
Comment that you can just talk about. Justin Rose is playing some great golf, tucking his shirt under his left armpit.
Yeah. So Justin Rose is playing good golf, tucking his shirt underneath his armpit. Justin Rose is an example we use all the time, and I posted a video in our membership site. I think you see I'm going to throw some little plugs in here as we go. In our membership site, was that Chris on there? Yeah. I got a little thing in my ear. in our Facebook group, I posted a thing of Justin Rose. The point being, he practices as good as anyone. Now, I know he made the British Open Cup when he was younger and he was good, but talk about a guy that practiced his way all the way up to #1 in the world. If you watch him practice, he does a couple things. He always gives himself feedback. You ever notice that? I've seen a stick behind him like every single time he practices. He hits a ball or two, he goes back, he looks at the video, he walks back in, he hits a ball, he goes back, he checks it, he comes back in. He gives himself constant feedback with it, right? And he's working on the same pieces. I've seen him doing the same drills for the past like 2 years. They might make little nuances to it, but he's doing basically the same things. He is a great practicer. If you guys go on YouTube and search Justin Rose practice, watch how he practices. You guys should be doing the same thing.
Bobby wants to know, what do you do to check alignments on the course without taking a lot of time or thinking too much?
How do you check alignments on the course without taking too much time or thinking too much? You use an intermediate target. So when you're practicing on the range, obviously you can put sticks down and see that. When you're on the course, you can't do that, but you can use an intermediate target. An intermediate target, for some of you that don't know, is an object that's in front of you, between you and the target, about a foot, foot and a half, piece of grass, piece of mud, something like that, that's in line with your target. So you walk up, you pick a spot about a foot or so in front, you line your club face up to that spot first, trail hand only, club face grip and feet. Check that my club face is pointing at my spot, my feet are parallel, back to the target, back to the ball, and then I hit. That was a little thin.
So Joe is asking, is the first move from the top of pressure and
Front foot?
heel?
So Joe, is the first move from the top a pressure into the front heel? Yeah, so the first move from the top, if I go up here like this, is a little bit of a pressure shift forward as my left hip goes a little bit down and around, as my left knee starts to externally rotate here, and my pelvis, my left side of my pelvis is still a little bit lower. So here's the top, right? I go down and around with my hips here first, and then from here I continue turning, and then from here I continue turning as I go. So pressure shift in your foot. You don't want to shift too much towards your toe. You'd like to shift that much more down towards your heel. The more you shift your pressure towards your heel of your left foot, the easier it is to rotate. The more you shift your pressure towards your toe, the harder it is to rotate. If you're someone who comes over the top and just wants to learn how to hit hooks and draw it, then you can go more into the left toe, get the club head more behind you, swing out to the right and hit flip draws in the beginning, that's fine. But if you want more rotation, pressure into the heel as your hip and your leg goes around.
Do me a favor, tell John Watson, yes, this will be posted later because he wants to revisit this stuff.
John Watson, yes, this will be posted later. All the live sessions we do like this will be posted up if you can't hang around.
Bert is saying, I don't want to translate this right. I've got the flattest swing plane at my club and have tried every drill to cure it without success.
So Bert has a flat swing plane. So if I saw you in person, right, I never, look how good that hole 19 tat looks like that. You guys like hole 19? Have you guys checked out hole 19 or not? So the backswing flat, right, I would say, does it need to change? One, how do you hit it? Is it causing contact issues or not? The only reason I would ever look to change a flat swing, you say backswing or whole swing?
He just said
flat swing.
Yeah.
The only reason I would look to change a flat swing would be maybe for speed purposes. I found people are able to produce speed better with the lead arm a little bit higher, sometimes even with a little bit of the right arm a little bit more internally rotated, can produce more speed when you come down. If you're really flat back here and you want to go up higher, then you need to feel the opposites, right? If you're too flat, that means your hands go in either early or late and your left arm's low. So what's the opposite of hands in? Everyone together now, hands out. What's the opposite of left arm really in? Left arm really vertical. So you'd have to feel like this. If you normally swing here and you want to swing here, you have to feel there. Okay, go ahead.
Joe wants to know, do you have any on-course advice, to-dos, or main things to focus on for when I start playing bad and begin to get discouraged?
Beer,
and he said, thanks.
Beer, Miller Lite, Coors Light. So when you're on the course and you start playing poorly, what to think about and do? So a couple of things to that. Number one is through your practice, you should know when you play poorly that you hit a pattern of shots. Let's say for me, I hit pushes and hooks. So I know when I go play and it's bad, I'm going to get one of those two things. So number one, I know how to fix them. So when you go play, one of the skills of being a higher level player and lowering your scores is not always that they play good all the time, but they can fix their misses quicker. So you need to know what your misses are, know how to fix them on the fly. And then when they're off and you're playing bad, put a bad shot in its place. Put a bad hole in its place. Doesn't need to, just because you play really poorly for 3 holes doesn't mean the next 15 have to be bad. Ultimately, getting really good at that is getting really good at your pre-shot routine, staying present in the moment. That's the real key for that. So I would practice pre-shot routines on the range. I would practice fixing my bad shots. Practice enough skills where you can hit different shots and you can find middles easily. Yeah. Yeah, so we posted a video up yesterday, which we had some trouble uploading YouTube, but it ended up going up. And there's more information on Hole 19 on that. It's an app that we're going to partner with that hat, where you can track your stats. GPS is on there. Track your stats when you go play. There's course tee time and stuff like that. So the link will be in the description down below if you guys want to check that out.
Matt is confused.
Yeah.
He does not get how this can be achieved. How do you hit up on the ball with the driver while still having low dynamic loft and decrease your spin number?
So Matt says, how do you hit up on a driver with low dynamic loft and what? Decrease spin?
And
So yeah, you need a couple. You need a bunch of things for that to happen. That's not like show up and it happens. The first thing you need to do if you're going to hit up and have a low enough dynamic loft is really good club face and really good wrist conditions. So Dustin Johnson, who's got a strongish grip and bowed wrist conditions, and the face is really shut down and the dynamic loft is low. If my dynamic loft face is really shut and I need to hit the ball high and far, what do I need to do? I need to hit up on it enough, right? So if your club face is open or you have too high of dynamic loft, if your grip is weak, if your left wrist is cupped, if you have too much forearm rotation during the backswing, any of those things that open the dynamic loft, you've got no chance or very little chance of hitting up with low dynamic loft. So guys like Dustin Johnson or Brooks Koepka with either a strong grip or a bowed lead wrist can shut the face enough where they can do those pieces. Then you have to learn how to push out of the ground. You have to rotate well. It's not easy, right? There's several pieces that have to be in place for you to be able to do that, but it starts with club face first.
Everyone wants to know, what do you feel in your hands during club release?
What do you feel in your hands during club release should be relative to where you're coming from, unfortunately. So if you have a stronger grip like this, you're going to feel through impact probably some form of drive hold, which is not a lot of forearm rotation, kind of back of the glove still towards the target, more of a Kelvin Miyahiro release like this. If you have a neutral grip, you're going to have basically a normal release pattern. If you have a weak grip, you're going to have more forearm rotation and or more flexing of that left wrist. So if I have a weak grip here, right, I need to have a little bit of bow and no forearm rotation. If I had a neutral grip here, that same thing would turn it way down. If I had a strong grip, that would turn it even more down. So stronger grip pattern, you're going to feel more of a drive hold. Weaker grip pattern, more forearm rotation. And it depends on where you're coming from. If you have too much of this through impact, then you got to feel that. If you have too much of that through impact, you got to feel this. So it really depends on where you're coming from.
Dwayne is asking about the chipping setup. How much is the club face open for a standard chip?
How much is the club face open for a standard chip? So I would say when you're hitting a stock chip shot, you grab a wedge. It's not a wedge. If I have a standard stock chip shot, what I would do is a couple things. I'd have my feet very close together, heels very close, front foot's flared a little bit, upper body and sternum location are straight up and down, or even a little bit tilted towards the target. I don't want this. So I'd be here. Shoulders will be level. My club face on a stock shot is just barely open. If this is straightforward, I'm probably opening it like this is square, like this. I'd probably open it that much. This would be maybe higher. This would be stock square like this. The benefit is the more you open it, the more that you expose the sole of it, and you can use the bounce better.
I don't know where Nick's going with his question.
Yeah, Nick Vaselio?
No. Nick, anyone, not just Eric, does anyone know of any statistics of wearing a wedding ring while playing golf?
Statistics of wearing a wedding ring. What I know is this. People who wear wedding rings golf worse because they're married and they don't have enough time to practice. So take the ring off, throw it away before you go play. Guys, by the way, we said this before. I have my little up glove on here like this, which he sent in a nice little up glove package. It's like $1 shave club. Okay, they send you gloves per month. I have a little rip thing, but they sent me a nice little letter. Up glove. If you guys want gloves on a regular basis, these are good gloves. This is what I actually use when I'm hitting. You get 2 gloves for 19 bucks or 3 gloves for 30 bucks. You can do it per month and per quarter. Check them out. Put the link in the description down below.
Rich is saying, keep head behind the ball on all shots. Seems everyone different opinions.
Keep head behind the ball on all shots. Head goes in space during your downswing will depend on what club you're using. If I have a sand wedge, I'm going to set up with basically no tilt, basically 0. An 8-iron at address, I'm going to have 2, 3, 4 degrees. A driver, I might have 6, 7, 8 degrees. So if I have a driver and I'm tilted more to the right than a sand wedge, will that in swing change anything? Of course. Driver, I'm going to be more behind the ball. Driver, if you watch a good player from here, a lot of times if their head's on a line here, they start down. They stay on the line, stay on the line, stay on the line. Then at the bottom, they actually move up and back a little bit to help hit up on the ball and increase speed. If I'm hitting a wedge from the top, my head's staying on the line. I might even go down and forward a little bit as I'm working around. So shorter iron, a little bit more down and forward is okay. Medium iron, more on the line. Driver, actually falling behind the line during the downswing.
Richard's asking, what's the biggest cause of high hand and impact?
The biggest cause of high hands at impact, there's a couple different things. So like some guys, like my pattern forever was get the club too shallow back here, and I'm so far under plane that I have to stop, stall, and get the hands high. I've also seen a lot of people who get too steep too early, and they have to stop, stall, and get the hands high. So the answer, the biggest cause of it, is a downswing swing plane that's too shallow or too steep, and then you're manipulating the vertical component of the shaft to get it back to normal. So when this part's going off and this is too high, almost always that's a manipulation because the swing plane is too far over or under. And then of course you'll see that a lot with early extension where you'll stand up and throw the hands like this. So I would say swing plane usually off, and then you got to ask yourself, why is the swing plane off, right? And how do you fix that? So you got to look deeper a lot of times.
Joe was saying, if you find some time, could you do some course vlogs while providing viewers some on-course insight?
Who said that?
Joe, and I know where you can find it.
So Joe, can we do some course vlogs if we find time? We are going to do some course vlogs this year. We did one when we didn't do it, but we are going to do more course vlogs this year and probably beyond that. So if you guys comment down below, if you guys want to see us do more course vlogs or just course vlogs in general, comment down below and let me know. And let me know what you want to see or what would be good to see. And we can talk about doing some of them.
But they can find the course management stuff.
Yeah, we do have course management stuff on CogornoGolf.com on the membership site. There's more like me on course talking about scenarios and stuff like that. And to be honest with you guys, we don't do a lot of that here because it doesn't get clicks. Like part of this whole thing with YouTube is we have to do videos and we have to do titles where people watch so we can get the message across that we actually want to. There's a lot of videos I want to do that we don't do because no one's going to watch them. So we have a lot of stuff like that on the membership site, but we'll do more course vlogs on here at some point.
Even though you want to feel connected with the left arm, but you still want to keep the left arm off the chest.
So even though you want to stay connected with the left arm, you want to have it off the chest. So I would say when you start your normal swing, your left arm should be basically like on your pec. As I go back through my backswing on the pec, still on the pec now, the deeper that I have it, the more it'll be on the pec. The more vertical I have my arm, the more off the pec. So it depends on where your backswing plane is. If you want a deeper backswing plane, which for most people is good, have a little bit more depth at the top. It'll stay on your pec. It'll stay on your pec down to here. And then once you get down to the bottom, it'll start coming off your pec from about here into the follow through phase. It really shouldn't stay on your pec the entire time. But if you're someone who flies off too soon or too much too early, might you throw that in to help during the follow through? Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Should the takeaway be slightly to the inside?
Should the takeaway be slightly to the inside? No, it should not. The takeaway from setup to first parallel you want to see the club head ride right up on your hand. So at this point, the club head is even with your hands. If you draw a shaft plane up the shaft, you want the club head to be working up that plane and get even with your hands there like this. So from here, you want that riding up the plane and getting even with your hands at first parallel, not inside. If you get too far inside, it depends on why you get there. A lot of people who get too far inside early will get too far over the top during the downswing. It depends if you're inside because you forearm rolled. Maybe you turned your chest too early. Could be a hand path issue. It could be a lot of different things that could cause that.
Stephen's saying, keeping my hands up, not pulling, in the downswing makes my lead shoulder more external. And opening the face, is your lead shoulder supposed to get more external in the downswing?
So by leaving your arms and hands up, Stephen says your lead shoulder gets more external on the way down. Should that be like that or not? So opening the face, meaning when you go up to the top, if I leave them up, the arm, the shoulder joint is going in this direction compared to this direction. You see the differences there? So if I go this way with my shoulder, I can have forearm rotation, just like this, and I can have actual shoulder rotation. So when I actually shoulder rotate, you see how that gets the club face open relative to the plane is what I'm assuming he's saying there. So should that happen? No, when you start coming down here like this, as I start to work my way down, your lead shoulder should more or less stay in the rotation that it is there. And if you're going too far this way, which is what I'm assuming you're saying, then you can even feel like you're going a little bit here as you come down just to get normal. Here meaning you're feeling the arm going in this direction. Now, do I actually want you to do that where you go over the top? Absolutely not. But if the club's too open, you can feel the shoulder. You can feel the shoulder going more this way, or you can offset that opening by flexing your lead wrist in transition. Either one of those two.
I think this is Josh, who's got a little testimonial for Live Golf here. He's saying he got it, it's great, and he said he's using it to avoid the inside takeaway you're talking about. It had no hip turn, so he's starting to work on that too.
So Josh made a comment about the live view golf and that he used it and it works for him. This live view that I've been telling you guys about, which we'll put a link in and we have a promo code. I think we have like $40 off. We have a discount code. It's at least $40 off this product, and it's a live view. And what this is you're able to watch yourself swing. You guys know you need feedback. Now, listen, if you get a live view, that's great. But honestly, I don't really care about that. I care about you guys actually recording your swing so you can fix yourself. And if this makes it easier for you guys to do it, then get one of them and spend the money, or put your darn phone up and walk back and check it, whatever. But you need to be giving yourself enough feedback. We'll put the live view if you guys want to check that out. To record your own swing and be able to see it as you're doing it, which is big.
What's the best way to not stand up through the shot? What drill do you suggest to help stay down other than push against the chair behind you?
So what's the best drill to stay down with your posture during your downswing and not come up? We did a video last week or 2 weeks ago about fixing early extension and something along the lines of adding rotation, because the title had to be YouTube-y. But the point being, you got to do the opposite of normal. If normal for you standing up, what does that mean? That means you straighten your legs. That means your chest gets farther from the ground. And that means your hips go in. So what do you need to feel? You need to feel the opposite. Let's start from the ground. If your legs normally straighten, you need to feel like your legs do what? Go down. If your chest normally gets farther from the ball, you need to feel like your chest gets closer to the ground. So I don't know about that whole butt on the wall, whatever. If that works, that's fine. But what I would do is increase the flex of your legs, get your chest down to the ground so that you feel like you're like this. But just as you do it, you have to make sure that you turn first. And if you don't shorten your right arm and your right wrist, you're going to hit fat shots. So if you early extend, you want to feel down. If you early extend, you want to feel down like this. This feels exact. I feel like I'm literally going to like kiss the ground when I do this. That's how exaggerated that has to feel. You got to feel that low if you want to change that, and then your posture will look normal. Most of you guys are not going to fix that because you simply won't exaggerate enough. All you guys that early extend that go like this, and you go here, you could fix that if you went down and around. But right now, I feel like I'm an inch away from the ground, and you just aren't willing to go that far. That's the biggest thing there. How do you get better at compressing the ball, Justin? You need to put pieces in place that enable you to compress the ball. Ultimately, for you to compress the ball, the two big main things you need are shaft lean, so the handle forward at impact, and body rotation. Okay, you need good body rotation. You need shaft lean. You probably need good body orientations here like this. So In order to do those things, to rotate well, to have good forward bend and side bend to get the handle forward, you need a club face that's in a good position. I don't know if I'm sounding like a broken record with this club face, but that's what it is. Like 80% of all the stuff that I see starts off with a bad club face, right? Or wrist conditions. Comes back to the same thing. So how you compress the ball, and do me a favor, take your normal setup, like so. Get the club face closed like 30 or 40 degrees to the left. Take your normal grip on there and learn how to hit that ball straight at a target. And what you're going to need to do, this closed, to do that is do what? Have the handle way forward. Open up your body. You can do some things like a stick drill. Put a stick up the side of the club, a little alignment rod deal like this. You just put the stick on the side of the club and learn how to not hit yourself with it on the way through, to learn some of the rotation pieces and do some close club face. But you need a club face first to get the compression.
John's been working on shallowing the shaft with a left bow wrist, but he's been full hooking. Does he need to swing to 1 o'clock more?
So John's been working on bowing the wrist, but he's pull hooking. So yeah, should you be bowing the wrist in the first place? So if you're pull hooking, that means the ball's starting left, curving farther left. Your face is too close to your path relative to your path, probably pretty neutral, and then your face a little bit closed. So one option would be kick your swing direction farther to the right. So you can take an alignment rod, stick it in front of you, like 3 yards in between you and your target. Take your setup and bow your wrist still if you want to do that. And then just learn to start the ball to the right of the target. Then instead of hitting a pull hook, you'll hit a push hook and do it athletically. I would start with that in person. If I saw your mechanics and they were good, put a stick in front, keep the flexing, and kick your swing direction to the right. If you're still hooking too much like that, maybe you don't bow it as much. Maybe you tweak your grip a little bit. Maybe you tweak ball position. So I'd be able to help you better if I saw that one, but hopefully that helps.
Shout out to Keys. Thanks for fixing my backswing. I've never been on plane in my life.
Who's this one?
Opposites. Keys, I think.
Keys. Yeah, you're welcome, man. Thank you for being here.
And he says George Gankus talks level hips.
Yes.
You say tilted down and downswing. Is it just a different feel for him?
So she says, thanks for the backswing stuff. You're welcome. And George talks about level hips, and I say tilting. So what George says is this, and him and I are on exactly the same page here. He says at the top, so when you start with your setup, okay, your hips are pretty level. When you make a backswing, your hips tilt. So at the top of your swing, the left side of your pelvis is a little bit lower than the right side of your pelvis. Can you see that there's a little bit of tilt there? My left side's lower than my right. So in transition, all I want to have happen is that your left hip remains lower than your right until about left arm parallel. So when I go here like this, my left hip side remain lower than my right just because it started that way. So it's already lower, right? As I start to work down, it remains lower. It levels back out at about left arm parallel. It's still about level, so it's probably a little lower here still. It remains level down to last parallel. At last parallel, my shoulders should be just above level, back to about where I started. My hips should be level. And then from there, my left hip's going up, my shoulders going up as I continue to turn. So your left hip should stay lower in transition only because it was lower at the top of the backswing.
Don from Canada. When your back shoulder stops moving and your arms begin to release the club, should you be leaning back behind the ball? Where is the weight in your feet at that moment?
So Don says, when your right shoulder stays back and you have to throw your right arm at the club, give me the rest of that one more time, sorry.
Yeah, and your arms and hands release the club. Should you be leaning back behind the ball? Where is the weight in your feet at that moment?
Should you be leaning back behind the ball? Where's the weight in the feet? Well, what you should do is fix the shoulder. So what you shouldn't do is say, keep the shoulder back, throw the arms. How do I work with that? If you were going to make that work, you're going to keep your right shoulder back and throw. So if I have a ball here, right, the point is, when I start coming down, if my right shoulder stays back, I have to throw my arms and hands to get to the ball. Of course, if I don't have my right shoulder rotate, I can just slide a lot and get to the ball. But I don't want you to do that unless you want to hit pushes and hooks. Hey, by the way, with this rotation stuff, if you guys are slicing the ball for 50 years and all you're hoping for is a hook, like you want to hit a hook like your life's on the line, you probably don't have to rotate as much. You probably can slide more. And what you need to focus on is your club face and getting a 10-4 station in and learning how to change your swing direction. So keep that in mind. If you guys are as I'm talking about preaching rotation, if you want to just hit pushes and hooks, you can slide. You can get your swing direction inside out, learn how to hit flip draws. I did that all the way to shooting even par. It's perfectly fine. So I wouldn't suggest you keeping your right shoulder back and doing this. But if you were going to do that, you have to get more pressure forward. You have to slide your, and that pattern will work like that. It's more of like a exaggerated stack and tilt when they first came out, where some guys were overdoing that pattern. But yeah, that's the answer. You'd have to shift and slide a lot forward if you don't rotate your upper body as much. So you do like a Tom Lehman type of forward, inside out pattern. You wouldn't have as much rotation, but that can work. You guys can do that. This is not all or nothing with these pieces. We can find middle grounds that work.
Steve says, he gets too inside on the backswing and the right elbow bent too much, hits way inside and hits a lot of pull.
So Steve says on the backswing gets too far inside, right elbow gets too bent, hits bad contact from there. A lot of times when I see the elbows get too bent during the backswing, the root cause of that is not enough body turn. The root cause a lot of times of the elbow separating is not enough body turn. If you guys have a club, or try this later on, make a keep your stomach, let's say you start, keep your stomach facing forward and try and make a long backswing. What do you have to do? If I don't turn my body at all, don't turn your body at all during the backswing and try and get the club all the way back. What do you have to do? You have to separate your elbows. So what I would say to keep your elbows closer together is, number one, you have to get turning. Get your belly and belt buckle turning a lot, almost like as you go back, your body's turning as fast as or sooner than your arms and hands, and more body turn. Feel like you squeeze your elbows together. Get yourself a 4-striker ball. One of these. I use this a lot when I practice because I'm guilty of that same thing. I get lazy with my body and my elbows separate. I put this little tour striker ball between my arms like this. And when I'm making a backswing turn, I am turning my body. This feels like my stomach's turning big time. I don't know if you guys can hear me. Big stomach turn during my backswing all the way to the top with that. So we'll put a link for the tour striker. We've got a little discount code for that as well, where you can get a little bit off that. So use that, but turn your body more.
John, you might want to keep that out because John's asking, how do you play the 30 to 50 yard mini pitch?
How do you play the 30 to 50 yard mini pitch? So if I have a 30-yard shot, to me, any shot inside of 30 is like a finesse inside shot. Mechanics are a little bit different. From 40 and 50 yards, what I would do is, watch our video on a surefire way to build a wedge system, I believe it's called. And I go through this in more detail. But what I would do is take from 30, 40, 50, take a chipping setup, ball in the middle, feet, heels very close, front foot flared. I'm stacked on top of myself, not a lot of tilt. Shaft is neutral or just slightly leaning forward. And I would learn how to hit shots at 30 yards, 40 yards, and 50 yards and find a swing length that works for each one of them. Now, Mary's right. You could use this ball again to build in basic motion, put this tour striker ball between your arms and start to turn back and turn through. And thus people are going to ask, hey, should you hinge right away or should you not hinge? Play around and see what works for you. You just basically want to match each shot. If you make a backswing and you don't hinge enough, just make a follow through where you don't hinge a lot. If you want to hinge more early, then release more early. So you can do both of those pieces. I'd put a little smart ball in. I'd pick a target from 30 yards, and I would just hit a little 30-yard shot and see how far it goes and feel how far that feels. And then go a little bit longer for 40 and a little bit longer for 50. The one thing with the chips and the wedges you have to make sure is the backswing plane being on plane or slightly outside is huge. You can't, with wedges, get too far inside. Because it's such a short swing, you don't have enough time to make up for it, and you'll hit fats and thin. So I would buy a tour striker ball at like, what are they, 20, 30, 40 bucks? Use our little coupon code in there, get some money off of it, and build that in. You still have to have a little body motion, little hinge with that. Yeah, it's in all the descriptions.
Daniel says, where should my hips and rotation be at impact? I feel I'm always looking straight at the ball, not rotating them.
Where should your hips be at impact? Feel like you're always straight at the ball, not rotating enough. When I work during the downswing, we just did a video on this today. This is going to charge extra. This little shirt up scene here, this is 20 bucks. We did a little video on what the rotation pieces should look like here. So I'm going to put this in my belt loops. I'm going to put this on my shoulders. So when I go up to the top here, I want the shoulders to be turned 90, the hips to be 45. By the time I get down to left arm parallel, the hips are level and the shoulders are still close 45. So I'm at the top, hips 45, shoulders 90. By the time I get to left arm parallel, My hips are level, square to the target, and my shoulders are close 45. By the time I get down the last parallel, club is parallel to the ground here. My shoulders are pretty close to level. My hips are open 30. By the time I get to impact, my hips are open 40 to 45, and my shoulders are open 30. So it's 45, 90, like this. By the time I get to left arm parallel, my hips are basically square. My shoulders are still 45 close. By the time I get down the last parallel, my hips are open 30. My shoulders are square. And then by the time at impact, my hips are open 30. Hips are open 40 to 45, and my shoulders are 30. So your hips should be wildly open. If you're square at impact, that's bad news. You got to open up big time. How do you do that? You would need to know why you're not open, or take your left hip and get that thing going freaking around big time. Big, big, big rotation.
Paul is asking that you go over hand position in the driver setup. He feels he gets his hands too far forward. And he also said your goal extension videos kill.
Thank you, Paul. So driver setup with the hands. If I had a ball right here, say we're right here, I like to see the hands in line with the inside part of the left thigh for all clubs. So if I have driver position and the driver's lined up just inside of left thigh, really the driver's lined up on about my armpit or left shoulder, I like to have the hands in line with the left thigh and the shaft is basically neutral. Now, if I had an 8-iron here, my hands would still be in line with my left thigh, but my ball position's a little bit farther back, so it feels like I have a little bit more shaft lean. If I had a wedge, and I'm hitting a full swing pitching wedge, my hands would still be in line with my left thigh, and it looks like I have a little bit more shaft lean because the ball's a little bit farther back. So hands inside left thigh through the bag is what I would prefer.
I'm just looking at Marquand, who's saying you convinced him to sign it up.
Marquand.
Won him over.
Good, man. Signing up for the site or what?
Yeah,
dude, listen, when you sign up for the Cogorno Golf, or you buy one of our products, or you do some of the cool stuff we're going to do for where I can work with you guys, I'm going to give you everything I got to make you guys better. I'm telling you, for a lot of you, there's 86 people right now watching this. I don't know how many people are members or not, but for me to help the 86 people on here the most, I need to see your swing. Like, this is good, and I hope that this helps a lot of you guys. But if I could see your swing and guide you through what you're actually doing, it would expedite the process. I'm telling you guys, I don't care if it's cogornogolf.com or if it's an in-person lesson or golf school or online lesson or whatever, not a text. I don't want an email or a text with a video, but anything else where if I see your swing, I'm telling you guys, I can help you guys a lot, or find someone else that can help you do the things. A lot of you guys are taking way too long to improve because I can't see what you're doing, or you don't go to someone to help you out with it. All right. That's true though. I'm not even saying that to sell something to you guys. Like that's true. That is true.
Chad's asking, can you show the release in some detail, as I just can't seem to understand how it works?
Chad, can I show the release in some detail? Can't seem to understand how it works. I'm not going to go through the whole time. We have videos on here very detailed about the wrist condition parts. How you should release the club depends on your grip. So if you have a strong grip, neutral grip, weak grip, it depends on your body orientations. So if you have a stronger grip, you're going to be more drive hold. If you have a weaker grip, you're going to have to add more wrist flexion and rotation. In general, right, during the downswing, you're going to be unhinging some amount. You're going to be adding some arm supination, and your left wrist, depending upon your grip, is probably going to be flat. If you have a neutral grip, it's flat. It stays flat. It stays flat. And it stays flat as it rotates. So my left wrist stays flat. I'm rotating, supination, arm rotation, glove away from the target, glove towards the target, glove to the left of the target. So how you should release the club really depends on where you're at. Going back to, if I can see your swing, I could help more. Trying to get a shot in here, Mayor. Killing me with these questions. No, go ahead.
It's easier for me to feel the right hand road and impact instead of the left wrist.
Yeah.
But it looks like my right elbow is not stuck to my right hip.
Yeah. So like the right wrist bent back instead of the left wrist bow, but it feels like the right arm's too far behind you instead of in front of you. That could be a couple things. Sometimes the right arm appears too far back, not because the arm structure is bad, but because the body motion is actually too far forward. So here's a right arm that looks too far back. Now watch this. If I just move my body back, now that arm looks good, doesn't it? Here it looks too far back. My hip is sliding. Here it looks perfect, right? So maybe your arm's fine and your body's too far forward, or it can have to do with external and internal rotation. The more internally rotated your shoulder during the downswing, which is flying right elbow, the more the elbow gets stuck behind your body and it looks like this. The more externally rotated you are here or in transition, the more the elbow is naturally in front of the body. If I get the elbow more in front, all I'm really doing is externally rotating. So you have a choice, either one, put more external rotation in during the backswing or downswing, or two, check to see your body's not too far forward, and that could be the other issue.
Any specific key exercises or stretches to help with golfers fatigue, build strength, and performance? That's from Jim.
Exercises are things for golfers. You know, what I've found, and I don't know if you can tell or not with the video, but the muscles are pretty good. So I'm in the gym, right? I'm lifting weights. No, I'm just kidding. I think general fitness for like any sports is good for golf. So what I would suggest in terms of building endurance through a whole round and gaining strength would be doing the same workout programs that you would do for any sport. That includes some kind of compound lifting if you want to. That can improve any kind of general workout program. So I would go work with a trainer and just say, hey, listen, I want to get more athletic. I want to get in better shape and get more athletic, and those things will transfer to golf nicely. I don't know that I think like golf specific workouts. I don't know, but that's not my, maybe. I think you just go to a gym and kind of do the normal stuff. How's that for a shitty answer? Go ahead. Yeah. Say the beginning part again. I'm sorry.
Robert wants to know which move is better for starting the takeaway.
Yep.
Push with the left arm.
Or pull. Okay, sorry. So Robert wants to know during the takeaway, what's better, push with the left arm or pull with the right arm? As with any of these feel questions, there is no correct or incorrect. Meaning, if you told me, Robert, I feel like I pull with my right arm and you get here, and I say, dude, you're an idiot. You should push with your left arm. And I say, hey, man, I feel like I push with my left arm and I get right here. Who's right or who's wrong? Neither of us are right or wrong. So long as you make the desire, I'm just messing around with that, but as long as you make the desired motion and you get here, you can feel whatever you want. If you are someone who goes too far this way, then maybe you want to feel less pull with the right arm, more push with the left. If you're someone who goes too far out in this way, maybe you should feel less push with the left arm and feel a little bit more pull with the right. So really, you can feel whatever you want as long as you do the desired motions. Figure out, are you too far inside? Are you too far outside? Is the face up? What's the issue with the takeaway? And then address that part directly.
Golf guys, like, do you have all of Martin's gizmos?
Golfer guys, I have all of Martin gizmos. I do. And you know what? I'm getting more of a Martin Chuck. Freaking guys always like 2 steps ahead of me with these training products. I'm telling you, I've been thinking about a lot of these training products forever. I don't do anything about it. Martin Chuck already freaking invents them, man. So yeah, I do have most of them.
I'm sure she's funny. I'm trying to get my swing better before I send it to you.
Yeah, trying to get your swing better before you send it to me. I'm telling you, I'm serious about that, guy. It doesn't even have to be me. Work with someone in person, do something. But the process when you're working with a coach, it's like me for fitness. Man, I work with someone in person or send them videos. I get way better quicker. You got to pay. You know what I mean? You got to pony up for that stuff. That's not going to be free. Like our memberships are $19, $39. My online lessons are $100. My in person are $150. The golf school is going to be expensive. You got to pony up. But I'm telling you, you could expedite the process pretty quick.
Steven is asking, what are the
Most
most common causes for shanks?
common causes for shanks from Steven. There's a couple different things that could happen. Number one could be weight in the feet. So a lot of times during the downswing, if you get too much weight or pressure into the toes of your feet, that kicks everything forward and you go too far outside. I see a lot of times when the backswing lead arm gets way too low below the shoulder plane, it's super deep. It has to go too far this way during the downswing to get back to it. So I would say the 2 most common things I see are weight too far during the toes during the downswing and a really low left arm backswing plane because it has to kick back out. Of course, there's other things that can happen. A swing direction that's way too far inside out. I've even seen swing direction the opposite way, but weight in the feet, I would say, and then swing plane number 2.
Steve wants to know, do you recommend same ball position for all irons and wedges, similar to Jack Nicklaus?
Do I recommend the same ball position for all irons and wedges? You know, I don't know about this one. I question myself on this a lot, to be honest with you. I've suggested since I started teaching golf that you move the ball position. And then I started to wonder, like, when I go play, I don't know that my ball position moves. You know, I kind of feel like my ball position stays where it's at. And so I'm not sure on this one, right? So, I mean, what I normally would say for most people would be the ball. I'd like to see the ball position between the sternum and the shirt logo. So somewhere between, let's say, zipper and shirt logo here for all like wedges and iron shots. I don't like to see the ball back of center for any shot. Let me move this back here. I don't like to see the ball back here ever. I like straight line up, just forward to center, maybe left eye, left edge of the head, and then moving progressively forward. Now, one option is just put the ball between sternum and shirt logo, have the feet wider for driver, and then just keep narrowing them. And that's one way, or move it around. Right now, my answer is I don't know. I don't know what the best thing is. Play around with it and see what works best. But as long as you're within those ranges, you're probably pretty safe.
Don Cannon again is saying he rotates his hips open at impact like you suggested, but he tends to pull the ball. Ooh. I think my weight.
I'm getting a really loud ding when that comes
sorry.
in. That's okay.
I think my weight is too much on my foot, my front foot. Where's the weight in both feet at impact?
Yeah, so Don's saying he opens his hips, but his weight gets too far forward in the toes. What I would say is if you rotate well and you're open enough, it's probably hard. I don't know. I want to say impossible. It's probably hard to have the weight too far on the toes. So if you rotate really well from here, let's say the weight is just forward of the arches on the balls of the feet. As you work up to the top, it's a little bit more on the toes of your left foot, more in the middle towards right heel. As you begin down, I want to get the weight back to the middle of the left foot early and then into the left heel during the late phase of the downswing. So definitely more towards the heel than the toes. But if you rotate enough, then you're probably not too far on the toes as is.
Do you ever release the wrist hinge early to shallow the club coming into impact?
Do you ever release the wrist hinge early to shallow the club coming into impact? You know, some of the videos we talk about, and some guys will talk about from the top, from here, if you flex your left wrist and unhinge it, that can help shallow. And that does help shallow. Look where that's at. So from here, if I go like this and I flex my left wrist and I unhinge it and I turn, that shallows the heck out of the club. Here's normal. Here's flexed. Here's unhinged. So what happened there? What happened when I unhinged in this plane of motion? It shallows it a lot. But if I do that from face on, you guys start yelling and say, no, Eric, you can't cast that. That's not right. But when I do it from here, you love it, right? So for some people who have too much hinge, who bought too much into this lag idea, I may tell them at the top to feel like they bow, flex, and unhinge here, like this, right? And then maintain that width, and then, but if you do that, you really have to rotate well. So that would be the caveat with that. You can do that, but then you really must rotate well.
That's when we swing or getting your weight too far to the right-handed golfer on the backswing. Love your YouTube videos.
Thank you. What's the best way to avoid swaying during the backswing? You know, the goal, if you take a normal setup, if I put an object on the outside of my right leg or right hip like this, the goal would be when I make a backswing, my trail hip should turn right on that post or create a little bit of space between that post and my right hip, maybe an inch, 2 inches max. If I go too far this way and shift too much weight, what I would look at really would be my right hip, and I would feel my right hip turning more would be number one. Most people who sway too much this way and go lateral don't have enough hip turn. I'll say that again. If you have too much sway, you probably don't have enough hip turn. So I would feel the right hip turn back. If I had an object here, I feel like I'm turning my hip away from that object. You're gonna feel like your pelvis is really far forward towards the ball. And then give yourself feedback with mirror, live view video, something like that. And confirm the feels, exaggerate, and then adjust accordingly.
Kevin said he loved the video the other day about the drop down and turn at the same time.
Yeah.
Do that again.
So Kevin loved the video. Thank you, about dropping down and turning. The deal is this, especially for those of you guys that go too far up and forward here, during the downswing at the top, both of your legs will have a little bit of flex in them. Your left leg is more bent than your right. During downswing and transition, you want to increase the bend in both of the legs so that by the time your left arm is parallel to the ground, your knees are square to the target and your hips are square. So for some of you, it's going to feel like this. Okay, you're going to feel extremely low. For other people, that just feels normal. And those of you that normally have an early extension where your chest gets farther away from the ground, you want to feel the opposite, where you get here. So the angle between your legs and your upper body decreases, okay? That's how you can press a ball and create speed. If you were going to jump up, a guy goes to dunk. What do they do before they go up? They go down. How do you create speed to go up? You would jump like this, would you not? It's the same thing, right? The same motion. If I want to deadlift, pick a bar off the ground and create speed, I don't deadlift the bar like this. I deadlift the bar like this, and then you push up and out of that. It's the same deal with this. So I would increase both legs, get the chest closer, but you don't just do that and stay pointed forward. You're gonna hit the ball fat, okay? You're gonna hit the ball fat. So from there, you go down and around. You go down and around, and then you can extend out at the end.
Nick's asking a very specific question.
Nick, tell you.
What eye do you focus on the golf ball? One eye like a scope, or both eyes equally? And do you look at the front, middle, or back of the ball?
I like it. So Nick's asking about how do you look at the ball? Here comes a shitty answer, buddy. I don't really look at the ball specifically, meaning my eyes are at it. I'm looking at it, but I'm not really looking at it. For me, looking at the ball is similar to driving. I'm looking at the road. I'm not really looking at the road. I'm not looking at the details of the road. I don't even really know what the heck's going on half the time I'm driving. I'm just kind of cruising along. That's how it is for me with a golf ball. I'm not looking at any part of it. I'm just kind of gazing in the area of it. Having said that, I've had a lot of really good rounds where I try and force myself to get present, right? To get out of my swing thought, to get present in the moment. And some things that have worked for me has been focusing on a dimple of the golf ball. So if I have a Titleist golf ball, I might focus on the tee of Titleist and really focus my attention on that and hit. The answer is there's no perfect answer. See what works best for you. If that helps to get you present off of swing thoughts, cool. But you're more or less just looking at it like a road when you're driving.
Brad wants to know, do you agree that you need to close the club on the downswing, or should it happen on that?
So Brad says, do I agree you should close the club on the, and by the way, we have like 3 minutes. We'll fire in some questions. We'll answer whatever we can. If not, I'll answer some later if I have time. So should you, say that again. Should you close the club?
Do you agree that you should close the club close the club
or happen automatically?
Or should it happen automatically?
So Brad says, should you close the club during the downswing or should it happen automatically? So really the question is the closing of the club face manual? Do you do it? Or does it happen automatically? Good news, bad news. If you make a downswing and your club face is too open, do you do it automatically or do you need to feel like that's closing more? You need to feel like that's closing more. So if your club face is open, then yes, you need to feel like it's closing more. If you make a downswing and your club face is too closed already, you need to feel what? Like it's closing less, like you're holding it off during the downswing. If you're in the middle and you're neutral and you have a neutral club face, I would say you're probably not actively trying to close the club face. Is it happening by itself? Well, no, your hands are on the club. You're creating that motion. You know, it's one of those like nothing really happens by itself. But I think the question is, are you consciously trying to do it or not? If your club face is already square or closed, then no, you are not. If it is open, then yes, you have to feel something. I hate to give those answers sometimes, but like that is the answer. You know what I mean?
I'm skipping ahead.
Yeah.
I think I know what this answer is going to be. Dennis is asking or saying he hits his irons off the toe all the time. What's the fix?
So Dennis says, I hit my irons off the toe all the time. What is the fix? Well, it depends on why you hit off the toe. So this is one of those, if I could see your swings, like I said before, it'd be easier for me to help you. It honestly depends on why you hit the ball off the toe. Maybe during your downswing, you come too steep and across the line and the shaft's too vertical and your swing direction is too far left and you catch it on the toe. Maybe you're like me and your tendency is too far inside, early extend, put the handle up and hit it off the toe. Maybe you stand a country mile from the ball and you hit it off the toe. Maybe you stand too close and then you create space during your downswing and hit it off the toe. So I have to see that one, dude. Sorry about that. That's not one where I have like, here's a quick fix. You know what I mean? Like I have to see that.
How important is completing the swing after impact? I tend to pull too early and feel like I'm not rotating enough and extend too much. Leads to high push shots.
How important is the finish past impact? Give me the rest of that one more time. Sorry.
I don't get really good together. I tend to pull too early and feel like I'm not rotating enough and extend too much. Leads to high push shots.
I'll be honest with you. I'm not sure what you mean on that one.
Yeah.
So send me a comment on any of the YouTube videos and re-explain that, and then I'll answer that for you.
Matt.
Matt.
Is asking, and I think we can close after this one.
Yep.
What's your thoughts on the super speed swing?
So Matt says, what do I think about super speed golf or increasing swing speed? I think it's fantastic. So anyone like guys like Tom House and guys that are speed trained legends in other sports have always done, it's been around for a long time, using over-under training, which is you take an object that you're going to swing, whether it be a golf club, baseball bat, or anything, and you train with an object heavier than that and lighter than that, and you do a sequence of swinging where you're swinging essentially as fast as you can. Usually you'll do some right-handed, so swinging right-handed as fast as you can, lefty as fast as you can, both sides, with the normal weight, the lighter weight, the heavier weight. Do some on your knees, do some Happy Gilmores. I've done some testing with it and seen some positive results, but I know some coaches that have done a lot and have seen really good results. So I would I would do that. Do we have an affiliate with Super Speed? I don't know if we do or not. Okay, yeah.
And we'll get one.
We'll do. Maybe we'll put a link in the description. Maybe not, but I do like that. So we're gonna wrap that up. This was good, dude. This was good. Good questions this time. If you guys have any questions about anything else, leave comments down below. I'll see if I can review them later on. And again, we're gonna do this every Thursday at 6:30. So most people show up. I think this time frame is okay. So next week at 6:30, we're gonna come back and do the same thing. So think about stuff and bring questions for next time. See you guys.